Hello and welcome to another edition of Nation Building. On this program, we examine the political, social, and moral issues in the leadership of our country. And today we have a very exciting show. We'll take a departure from politics and take a break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest to you after this break.
Time is money, and when you need more of both, fly Western Air. 12 flights daily between Nassau and Freeport. At Western Air, your 11th round trip is always free. Flights to Marsh Harbor coming soon.
It's a new day. This is our new day. And in the blue glow of the morning, there's still time to reach back into our dreams. To become dreamers in the daylight. And live our lives and hopes with open eyes. Yes, this is the day to do the things that will fill our lives with joy and with love. Dreamers in the daylight. Anything is possible. This is our new day. We are alive.
Hello, I'm Wendell Jones, and every time I sit down and I watch JCN television, I drink the Jamaica Bahama fruit juice. It's so pleasing to the palate.
I've been cooking Bahamian dishes for generations. I now use Jamaica Bahamas product. The rice is very fluffy, very tasty, and good eating. Jamaica Bahama product is simply the best.
As an insurance agent, my life is go, go, go. But whenever I need a refreshing break, it's Jamaica Bahamas Island Mixed Fruit Drink. Good.
Hi, I'm Debbie Bartlett from GEMS 105.9 FM. The effect that Island Junkanoo Juice Medley has on me is exhilarating.
You bring passion, and we bring world-class infrastructure and innovation that's designed to help your business grow. You have determination. We've got your back with a super-fast LTE network, giving you access to whatever you need, when you need it. You offer superior service. We put you in control with a dedicated care team to look after your business 24/7. Together, we have the advantage. ALIV. Let's do this.
Hello and welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and today on our program, we are having a discussion with ALIV. We're talking with Damian Blackburn, and he is the Chief ALIV Officer. And of course, ALIV is one of the exciting things happening in our country. Everybody uses cell phone service. Mr. Blackburn, welcome to Nation Building.
Thank you very much. Firstly, can I say it's a great privilege to be invited on this great show. Thank you very much for having us, Winston.
And it's our delight to have you. A part of what we do, Damian, is we want to provide the Bahamian public with information, and we want to provide them with information that can help better their lives. And from all indications, it's clear to me that ALIV is here in the Bahamas to help save the Bahamian people money. And so this will probably be one of our best watched shows. As we get into our discussion today, before we talk so much about your exciting adventure, ALIV, we want to find out a little about you, sir. Where you're from, a little of your background, what qualifies you to be the head, to be Chief ALIV Officer. So if you don't mind sharing with us what's your background?
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to share my journey to how I got here. It's been an exciting journey, and life's about choices, and I've made several choices to get here. The first one was I got really involved in mobile telecommunications in England. I worked for a company called Virgin Mobile. Virgin Group is owned by a billionaire businessman called Richard Branson, and he set out to really be the challenger tour de force in many, many industries. He started with music, he started a record label, he then moved on to airlines and founded Virgin Atlantic. And Virgin Mobile was in the next wave of challenging that he wanted to do, and he saw an opportunity in the UK, in the English and UK market, to really come with something very different to what the existing operators were doing at the time. He really had a vision that was very customer-centric focused. And I was persuaded to get involved in this great venture, Virgin Mobile. The very innovative thing about the model at the time in 1999 was Virgin didn't actually build a mobile network. They leased space from an existing network, the T-Mobile network at the time in the UK. And I stayed with that business for 6 years. I learned a lot about customer experience and branding and how to, from a great team that I worked with. From a very small beginning in the UK, Virgin Mobile became global.
What year was that period?
That was 1999 to 2005 I was there. And in that time, Virgin Mobile expanded to the USA. Most people in the Bahamas will probably recognize Virgin Mobile in the USA. It went to Canada and Australia, and I helped with all these launches around the world, helped the business copy the UK model.
What was your position in the UK at the time?
I was the commercial development director, which meant I was responsible for pulling together really all the different functions to launch major new initiatives. So things like at the time 3G, which was a real revolution in the mobile industry in 2002. I helped kind of make that a reality for the market. I negotiated a lot of the arrangements at the time for Virgin Mobile to do an IPO, to float the business.
So you've really come to the Bahamas with a wealth of experience in the telecommunications business.
Yeah, I mean, that was my early start, and I'm very proud of my Virgin heritage. I think I learned a lot of things from Virgin that stood me in good stead as I went on the journey after that. The main one really was that the brand, the power of brand, and the power of brand to create a customer experience that excels, that's way beyond what people could imagine. Virgin was a brand that on all surveys is one of the most trusted brands in Britain. I've seen surveys that say Virgin as a brand is more trusted than the Bank of England in that context.
How many competitors did you guys have at the time?
So when we launched, we were the sixth network, effectively, we call ourselves. There were 5 other mobile networks at the time, so it was a very competitive market. Wow. So to actually stand out from the crowd required creating a brand personality that really was head and shoulders above everything else that was there. And we really did that by taking Richard Branson's entire vision for Virgin and creating it in a mobile context. I then moved on from Virgin after it had floated on the stock exchange. So I'd been there from the very first days of the launch right the way to floating and becoming a public company. And I did a few startup things. I tried my hand in America, in the US, in New York. But eventually I landed up in Digicel.
Oh, that's in Jamaica?
And I moved to Kingston in Jamaica.
Before you talk about that Jamaica experience, it's very fascinating, your background, and I wanted to make sure for the record, what was, when you left Virgin, after doing what appears to be an awesome job there, what was the customer base at the time of Virgin? And secondly, what percentage of the market share did you have?
So we started with 0, obviously, in 1999. On the 11th of November, interesting, 1999, which I'll come back to in a minute. And when I left, there was over 4 million customers.
4 million.
And from the prepay market in the UK, we used to estimate we had about 20% market share.
Wow, that's 10 times the population of Bahamas.
Absolutely.
I see why you guys are doing well here already. Go ahead.
Okay. And so, the Virgin experience was great, but I kind of wanted to move on from that. I was a young guy. I kind of had a break actually after Virgin, but I quickly realized that, when you're the age I was in my 30s, all your friends are still working, so you can't really have a complete break. And so I got back into work, back into mobile telecoms. I worked with BT, I worked with Vodafone, and I worked on a startup venture in New York. And then eventually, Dennis O'Brien from Digicel found me and asked if I would join Digicel. It was a real privilege. Really, I was asked to join based on my experience of what we'd done at Virgin. Dennis O'Brien at Digicel was very interested in the whole story of Virgin, and eventually I agreed to go and move to Kingston in Jamaica.
And Dennis was what in Digicel at the time?
Dennis is the founder of Digicel.
Okay.
He's an Irish entrepreneur who had spotted the opportunity in Jamaica to start with, and then the entire Caribbean, to come and bring mobile telecommunications, to revolutionize the market as the second operator in a lot of the islands. I had a few different roles at Digicel. Once I got my feet under the table there, I was the regional CEO of Digicel, covering all islands from Curaçao and Aruba and Bonaire in the south, all the way up the Eastern Caribbean chain, Barbados, St. Lucia, Grenada, Antigua, etc., and including Turks and Caicos, Cayman Islands, and Bermuda. So there were about 15 different markets I used to be responsible for in Digicel for a couple of years. I then moved on from that role and moved to Honduras. Digicel sold its business in Honduras, and I led the business through that complex process. We sold the business to Claro, who were the big Central American operator from Mexico. And
they actually was in Jamaica at some point, didn't they?
That's true, yeah. And the deal was eventually was a swap deal effectively. But the Honduras business was a lot bigger than their Jamaica business, so it was a good deal for Digicel. Complicated story leading a team through quite a challenging time through a sale. Then I was asked by Dennis to move to Haiti.
Wow.
And I moved to Port-au-Prince in 2012 and spent 2 years there as the CEO of Digicel Haiti. In my time there, Digicel Haiti became the largest business in Digicel's group in the Caribbean region, and I'm proud of my time in Digicel. At Haiti, we achieved some great things. The last job I had in Digicel was to lead the business development effort. I went back to Kingston, and I was part of the team that led Digicel into cable TV and broadband fibre to the home businesses, which now Digicel has matured into a growing business from the early start that we made. So that's kind of like, in a nutshell, how I arrived here.
Well, one more question back to Digicel a bit. What do you know today, what percentage, or when you left, what percentage of the market they had?
Yeah, roughly Digicel in every market they operate have 50 to 60% of nearly every market they operate in. There are a few exceptions to that, but they've grown from being the challenger with zero, market share to kind of get to market leadership in most of those markets that they've operated.
If I were your competitor in the Bahamas, I'd be terribly terrified of you with the reputation that you've had, with the record of success, obviously, that you've had. It's clear that ALIV is chosen the right person for the job, it seems.
Well, it's a different challenge. I always take every challenge on its first principles, and I don't really. Certainly, the choices I've made previously have prepared me for this great challenge here in the Bahamas. But nothing is ever the same, and I very much take it on first principles. One of the funny ironies of the Bahamas story was that in the auction process for the license, there were two other bidders along with Cable Bahamas who eventually won the license, and they were, believe it or not, Digicel and Virgin Mobile.
Wow.
So it was when I was contacted a couple of years after I'd left Digicel, would I come here to the Bahamas and take on this challenge? irony of ironies that both of those companies that I'm very proud of working for had been in this auction process and had been beaten in the auction process by Cable Bahamas. And so I kind of figured that maybe I hadn't worked for the best yet. I needed to come and work for the best.
Wonderful. That is an amazing story. We are heading for a break. I wanted to just look back for a moment and your rich history in the communication business. Has there been any difficulties, any challenges that you've had over those years of tremendous success that has taught you some valuable lessons that you wanted to share?
Absolutely. I mean, there's the challenges of technology and the education of technology. I remember in the early days of Virgin, we locked onto, in that crowded market of 6, we locked onto text messaging as an innovation, believe it or not.
At that time?
Yeah, in 1999, and we had a 2-year advertising campaign, very, very innovative campaign with Busta Rhymes and Wycliffe and lots of great stars from the time. And, we taught the nation to text. Now, when you think back now, texting is second nature to everybody with a mobile phone. The next big challenge was smartphones came along, getting people using the smartphone really as it's designed. And I feel that in the Bahamas, we're really in the middle of the smartphone revolution. Most people have a smartphone now. Nearly everybody has a smartphone, and the bubblers are kind of disappearing. But really, the power of what that phone can be used for is only just being appreciated, just starting to be appreciated. And I think there's a great challenge in the next 4 or 5 years in the Bahamas to really educate Bahamian people on the real power of what they've got in their hand and how it can really change the way you work, the way you live, and the way that basic things that you do now can really change. And that's the real technology challenge. Obviously, along the way for me personally, the cultural challenge of living in so many different places has been fantastic. I've learned met so many amazing friends, including now in the Bahamas, and really, really appreciated each community I've lived in. And I'm learning every day in the Bahamas from fantastic people here who are teaching me new things. And that's really been the life's learning for me out of the whole thing. Nothing to do with telecoms, but how to get by in life and see optimistic future, which Bahamians, have ingrained in their personality.
Yes, and I suspect you're at your best stop. You're watching Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and when we come back from the break, we're going to dig deep into ALIV with its Chief ALIV Officer, Mr. Damian Blackburn, and we're going to talk about the ownership of ALIV and more substantive things that you, the Bahamian public, would love to know. This is Nation Building. We'll be right back.
Time is money, and when you need more of both, fly Western Air. 12 flights daily between Nassau and Freeport. At Western Air, your 11th round trip is always free. Flights to Marsh Harbor coming soon.
ALIV knows what you do today will determine the success of your tomorrow. So we've invested in world-class infrastructure and innovation so every business in the Bahamas can grow. Like our online business account that lets you manage all your business mobiles simply and efficiently through one portal. From adding users and numbers to drilling down where you can view details of individual data, calls, and texts to providing an immediate overview of usage month on month. We put you in control. Our people are here to help your business grow. Our relationship managers take the time to understand your business. And with our care team and our ALIV stores, we are there to support your business needs. So let's work together, Bahamas. Let's grow together. Let us be part of your team. Let's do this.
Who said that you can't get great quality products at an affordable price. If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama Coconut Milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau.
I don't wanna win. No, no, I don't wanna win.
Are you a business person staying for a night, a week, or a month? Holding a meeting for your company or organization? A couple starting your married life with your wedding? Looking for vacation happiness on Grand Bahama Island? We know our happiness will make you happy. You'll see it in the smiles on the faces of our people. Our common goal at Pelican Bay Hotel is to anticipate what you need to be happy and to see that you get it. Visit our website to find everything you need to find happiness at Pelican Bay at Lucaya.
You bring passion, and we bring world-class infrastructure and innovation that's designed to help your business grow. You have determination. We've got your back with a super-fast LTE network, giving you access to whatever you need, when you need it. You offer superior service, we put you in control. With a dedicated care team to look after your business 24/7. Together, we have the advantage. ALIV. Let's do this.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and I am here today talking ALIV. I am with the Chief ALIV Officer, Mr. Damian Blackburn, and we are talking about the new revolutionary company that is bringing the Bahamian people's cell phone, and they'll be bringing in other services as well, but providing a cheaper rate for cell phone service and driving the competitors down. So if nothing else, you've succeeded in causing the Bahamian people to have more affordable cell service by way of you providing it, which I know that's ultimately what you want to do, but also forcing your competitor to reduce his prices. I want to jump in here because I got some comments in preparation for this show, which we have to do our homework and know what you guys are about. And so in talking with any number of persons over the weekend in preparation, I didn't quite realize the impact that you guys were having. I think it's only been 7 months? 6 or 7 months?
July the 1st last year.
Okay, well, it's
243 days.
240, that's less than a year. That is remarkable. Have you seen that? Is that on pace with what you've done elsewhere?
This has been really world record speed. I mean, we've quietly got on with the mission that we were charged with on the 1st of July last year, and I've not gone shouting, around the Bahamas about some of these things that we've achieved, but it is incredible to think that we've now got 132 cell sites, towers that have been erected and built in 243 days, covering 4 islands.
Last time I checked, it was 73.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we didn't really say much after that. We just got on quietly doing it, and we believe strongly that the proof is the evidence when people start using it. But we are live, covering 99% of the population in New Providence, Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, and about 93% of the population in Abaco right now, with these towers that we've built. Now, the main reason that we were able to move at that record speed, and world record speed, I truly mean that, we had a network working after only 90 days, was Cable Bahamas' preparation. After they won the license, or won the auction to get the license in October 2015, they made big preparations around making sure they had the sites ready to erect the towers, making sure that certain core elements of the network were ready, and that the fiber, of course, which is the backbone of the network was ready and near every site, so that when we erected the mobile tower and put the radio equipment on that's used to broadcast the network, they were ready to plug in. So all testament to those who came before me from Cable Bahamas for getting the preparation so spot on. My team, took over on the 1st of July, and our mission was
of 2016.
Of 2016, so 243 days ago, and was literally to move at record speed, hit the first milestone on the 1st of October, and then hit the next milestone on the 1st of January. And I'm pleased to say IRCA have validated that we met the first milestone, that we were live on New Providence and Grand Bahama on the 1st of October, and a massive achievement. A lot of people in the industry just did not think this was possible.
So you're crediting that, just to be sure, with all of your wealth of experience and knowledge, and you're not taking the credit for that. You're saying preparation.
I think it was a combination of preparation and then an amazing team effort that, the ALIV team, as it's become known now, started off as the New Code 2015 limited team, you will recall. We assembled an
ALIV is more catchy.
Exactly. We assembled, and there was a plan. We've assembled an absolutely fantastic team, passionate, committed. There's over 250 Bahamian team members who are part of the ALIV team now. There's a little bit of international experience, not many, myself and one or two colleagues, and we've rapidly, found great people, from Dwayne Davis there, who runs our IT solutions, Patrice, HR, and many, many more in our team. Absolutely fantastic. And everybody's got on with the level of passion, commitment, and enthusiasm that hopefully I've brought to the job.
Well, that's interesting, because one of the things our people, and I know they want to know, is how, this company is providing opportunities for Bahamians. And you've been here for a while. I'm sure you know that we're going through some challenging times, like many places in the world. And the companies that do very well are companies that are seen by the public to be very friendly to the population in providing job opportunities and career opportunities. And so that's important, that you and your team are pushing to get as many Bahamians in your because obviously Bahamians are investing in your company. I want to talk about the financial stability of ALIV. Could you tell us how the ownership structure of ALIV is set up?
Yes, so the ownership, as part of the conditions that Cable Bahamas signed up to be awarded the license, was one of the principal conditions was that a joint venture was established, which Cable Bahamas owned 48.25% of, and a company called Holding Co. owned 51.75% of. Holding Co. is owned by the government of the Bahamas on behalf of the people of the Bahamas. And the Prime Minister on several occasions has explained to the Bahamian public that it's a temporary government ownership, and the intent is that the shares of Holding Co. will be sold in such a way to facilitate maximum Bahamian ownership. And there is a process that that Holding Co. will lead to make sure that happens. I think that process would have happened last year if it hadn't been for Hurricane Matthew, but unfortunately there was a lot of disruption in a lot of areas by Hurricane Matthew, and that is the stated and public intent of what the government wished to do. If I can just comment on this for a minute, having worked in many of the other countries in the region, I think it was a very clever move by the Bahamas government to have this condition. Because what ended up happening through the auction is Cable Bahamas, which is a Bahamas Stock Exchange listed company, owns one half, and there's going to be a wide ownership from other shareholder investors, Bahamian investors, when Holding Co. sells its shares. So it's a 100% Bahamian-owned company that's arisen from this process. And at the end of the day, the mobile telecommunications infrastructure of the country is a national asset. And I think the government found a very good way to ensure that the ownership stays in Bahamian hands.
That's powerful and important. And what you're explaining here today is that this company really is a fully Bahamian-owned company, by way, of course, of the governor of the Bahamas that represents us as a people. And so that's important. What kind of network does ALIV run on? Or
so we've implemented a state-of-the-art, a world-class mobile network using two types of technology. LTE, I'm sure you've heard of LTE,
yes, fast.
and 3G HSPA+. So LTE is really the most advanced data network that you can implement as a mobile network player. You'll notice that we didn't implement a 2G network. We didn't implement Edge or any of those older technologies. We went straight, we did a technology leap, and we went straight for 3G HSPA+, which predominantly we use for carrying voice traffic. But it also has some data capabilities. Believe it or not, it gets speeds if you're ever on it of about 5 megabits a second.
Wow.
But most of the data that we carry goes over our LTE network, where users are experiencing speeds between up to 100 megabits a second, typically 30, 40.
If I can interrupt just for a moment here, can't help it, and to provoke you, because we haven't talked about your competitor, but how does that speed that you're carrying compare to what your competitors have?
Well, I invite anybody to do a speed test. We don't do it, it's not my way of selling. I mean, I'd rather talk about the great attributes of my own product. What it means on our network that you can do is you can watch video. It is video ready, it's video enabled. And so, when you go onto YouTube and you're watching video, it just happens, and it happens as though better than you're watching on a TV.
In other words, you're saying it can't get better.
Of course, everything will get better.
No, at this current stage. I mean, you have
at this current stage, yeah.
Okay.
No, and why are the reasons for that? People have asked me, why are the reasons? And also, there was a lot of skepticism in the early days when we soft launched in October. That you've only got 2,000 users on it. When you start getting more users, it's going to be a problem. The reason why technically it's so good is we have fiber to every site. So we've used Cable Bahamas fiber to every site. So there's no real constraint on once the data and the internet usage has got past the tower. There's no real constraint because we're using fiber, which is fairly unlimited bandwidth. The second reason is simply we've just deployed the absolute latest technology from a company called Huawei, a Chinese company. Mm-hmm. Huawei are an amazing company in their own right as a story. I engaged with them first in 2007. When I was doing a project in Europe, and at that point they're a big Chinese company. They had about 80,000 employees. Now Huawei have 160,000 employees. They recruit 10,000 people a year. 4,000 of them have PhDs in engineering.
Wow!
And so we've got the horsepower of that amazing research and development house in our network, and they've become the world leader. The unparalleled world leader in mobile technology. They write a lot of the future standards. So for us to upgrade from LTE to the next thing, which will be 5G, will be a fairly easy path for us because we're allied ourselves to the world's leading vendor.
I keep hearing this as a chorus. Your business platform, and of course this doesn't just apply to your company being a telecommunications provider, but I think it's a lesson for all Bahamians, is you keep going back to preparation for the next step.
Absolutely.
That seems to be an engine that drives your thinking.
Yeah. Continuous improvement, if I go back to, my real learning and starting out in Virgin, which I think is a lot of the driving ethos, customer-centered. I personally have a very driven kind of motivation to serve customers who are giving you good, hard-earned money. The Bahamians who are our customers, who are giving us the money, they've worked hard to get that money to give us. So we absolutely have a duty and an obligation to make sure that we're giving Bahamians the absolute best, not just the best we can in the Bahamas, but the world's best, because Bahamians pay a reasonable sum of money for using mobile service in this country. And in all the research that we've done and all the Bahamians that I've met, people don't mind paying that as long as they feel like they're getting the absolute world-class service they deserve. And so right at the heart of what we're doing, we're always looking to continuously improve every customer experience. Immediately after launch, I had a program put in place under my personal sponsorship within the company to identify every single customer experience we can that needs improving. And that was just after launch.
Wow.
And that's at the heart of what we're doing. We've done some amazing things. We now have WhatsApp customer care. You can just contact customer care off WhatsApp. An unbelievable innovation. Now we're only just announcing it. We've been trialing it. We didn't talk about it big style.
So this is the first time publicly?
Absolutely, and you'll see we've been telling our customers quietly with text messages they can now do it. Yesterday 250 people contacted us by WhatsApp, and I expect that this kind of innovation will be huge.
Interesting that you would say that, because traditionally things like WhatsApp has been seen as a competition for a phone company, and now you're saying that you've created.
I've been privileged in this mission I've been asked to serve here in the Bahamas, that there's no baggage, there's no telecoms baggage. I'm not earning revenue from A or B. I had zero revenue to start with, so I'm not trying to protect one stream or another. So we set out when we designed ALIV and its market positioning to really look at what customers wanted to use. I went around the Bahamas for several months, and I've met about 3 people who don't use WhatsApp.
I bet they're all.
So it became, it became obvious to me that however the customer wants to communicate to the other people they communicate with, we should give them that choice.
I hear you loud and clear, Mr. Blackburn. You are providing the Bahamian people exactly what they want, which is excellent service and causing the price to go down. Usually you don't get excellent service for less, but you guys are doing it, and that's amazing. You're on Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Time is money, and when you need more of both, fly Western Air. 12 flights daily between Nassau and Freeport. At Western Air, your 11th round trip is always free. Flights to Marsh Harbor coming soon.
It's a new day. This is our new day. And in the blue glow of the morning, there's still time to reach back into our dreams, to become dreamers in the daylight, and live our lives and hopes with open eyes. Yes, this is the day to do the things that will fill our lives with joy and with love. Dreamers in the daylight. Anything is possible. This is our new day. We are alive.
Hello, I'm Wendell Jones, and every time I sit down and I watch JCN television, I drink the Jamaica Bahama fruit juice. It's so pleasing to the palate.
I've been cooking Bahamian dishes for generations. I now use Jamaica Bahama product. The rice is very fluffy, very tasty, and good eating. Jamaica Bahama product is simply the best.
As an insurance agent, my life is go, go, go. But whenever I need a refreshing break, it's Jamaica Bahamas Island Mixed Fruit Drink. Good.
Hi, I'm Debbie Bartlett from GEMS 105.9 FM. The effect that Island Junkanoo Juice medley has on me is exhilarating.
You bring passion, and we bring world-class infrastructure and innovation that's designed to help your business grow. You have determination. We've got your back with a super-fast LTE network, giving you access to whatever you need, when you need it. You offer superior service, we put you in control. with a dedicated care team to look after your business 24/7. Together, we have the advantage. ALIV. Let's do this.
Are you a business person staying for a night, a week, or a month? Holding a meeting for your company or organization? A couple starting your married life with your wedding? Looking for vacation happiness on Grand Bahama Island? We know our happiness will make you happy. You'll see it in the smiles on the faces of our people. Our common goal at Pelican Bay Hotel is to anticipate what you need to be happy and to see that you get it. Visit our website to find everything you need to find happiness at Pelican Bay at Lucaya.
You bring passion, and we bring world-class infrastructure and innovation that's designed to help your business grow. You have determination. We've got your back with a super-fast LTE network, giving you access to whatever you need, when you need it. You offer superior service, we put you in control, with a dedicated care team to look after your business 24/7. Together, we have the advantage. ALIV. Let's do this.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and I'm here today having a very, very interesting discussion with Mr. David, I keep calling him David, Damian Blackburn from ALIV. Mr. Blackburn is the Chief ALIV Officer. Before we went to the break, Mr. Blackburn, we started talking about the financial aspect, and I'm not sure, we kind of drifted a bit. If you can provide a little clarity, you said it's Bahamian owned, we cleared that up, but a little more information for the public about the ownership, the finances of ALIV and the stability.
The first thing I'd like to do, if you may, I'd like to just call out one member of my team, right, who's the Chief Financial Officer of ALIV, a guy called Barry Williams, who for many years was the Chief Financial Officer of Cable Bahamas. He's the most experienced finance professional in telecommunications in the Bahamas and possibly even in the region. I've been working very closely, obviously, with Barry to ensure that ALIV is on the soundest financial footing. Traditionally, when you have a project like this with a new network build and a new entry, the way that the venture is financed, and this would have happened in all of Digicel's entries, for example, to the markets, the equity holders provide 50% of the equity. That equity is used, i.e. the initial funding. That initial funding is used to build the network, and it's used to get launched and get started. And then the equity holders seek to borrow money, the other 50% that's needed to complete the job. Complete the job might be build some more network. There is a cost in acquiring customers. There's a subsidy usually for handsets, so when you purchase a handset, the company is subsidizing that cost a little bit. And just general startup costs that happen when you're going through the first year or 2 years of operation. You're making losses. So the traditional way that I understand from all of my wealth of experience internationally is that 50% equity and 50% debt. Now, in this circumstance here, the shareholders have backed to the hilt this project. So ALIV's had $135 million of equity funding, initial investment, which is fantastic from Cable Bahamas and the and Holding Co. from the government. And that's got us through this first phase, through the initial launch phase, and into our expansion of the network now, and we're several months in. We also arranged $30 million of vendor financing from the great Huawei company that I mentioned. And so the last bit of the financing really is to go to the traditional method of financing to complete our financing for peak funding, which is to go to the debt markets. And we're not in any rush to do it, we're not under any pressure to do it, but we are now investigating those markets, and we will seek to raise in excess of $50 million from debt markets. We don't have a precise plan at the moment. As I say, there's lots of different types of debt, and we keep all our options open. And we're just ploughing forward with the investment monies that the shareholders originally gave us.
Two quick questions. For the sake of our viewers, can you explain, give an example of a debt market?
So a debt market, for example, in the Bahamas would be a preference share market, or a bond, issuing a corporate bond, or indeed just borrowing money from the bank as a secured debt facility, so the bank would take some security over your assets. Yeah. Those are the three principal methods. There are others.
Good. And then of the $135 million that you said was invested jointly with Cable Bahamas and the government, what portion of that $135 million is the government of the Bahamas invested?
The funding has gone in proportion to the shareholding. So 48.75% came from Cable Bahamas, and 51.25% has come from the government of the Bahamas.
How was that figure reached? How was that determined that we need $135 million?
It was the number that was really determined from the business plan at the time, that would be a nice, safe number to get the company
rolling,
rolling, get the network built, and get well into operation as we are now. 6 to 12 months of operation.
Good. How many customers do you currently today have on your network?
So last week, excitingly, for the first time, and a lot of people have been waiting for this announcement, at the launch of our business services on the 22nd of February last week, I announced to the public that we have 45,000 subscribers. Now, to put that in context, 45,000 Bahamians have chosen us as their provider of choice now in only 12 and a half weeks since we revealed the ALIV brand and sold under the ALIV brand to the market. I said last week it's about 25% of the market that was available to us. The market that's available to us is opening up in 3 phases. Phase 1 was customers who don't mind switching their number and just will come to us. And so I calculate we have about 25% of that available market. Phase 2 are post-pay customers, and business customers in particular, who need post-pay type billing. And we announced last week, excitingly, that we're now ready to service business customers, and an exciting new offer was made that night that all businesses can get 2 months free service.
Wow.
Until the 25th of April. The 25th of April being the day that number portability will come in the Bahamas. IRCA have announced now that on the 25th of April, you will be able to switch your number from another provider to us, and that will open up the 3rd segment of the market.
Right, and I was going to point that out, that because a lot of people don't want to change their numbers, and so I guess they'll still hold on. That's something that's widely practiced in the U.S., where you can freely move your numbers around, and so Bahamians will be happy to know that. And the date for that again?
The 25th of April.
25th.
What I would encourage, though, and a lot of our customers have done this, you can come to our store and you can request, get onto the ALIV service in parallel, so you can test out in parallel. It's your choice then. Buy a new handset or bring your own handset, and we can reserve the last 4 digits that are the same as the 4 digits that you already have. That can get you going, and then you can decide later whether to move your number fully to us. Obviously, we hope you do at that point, but at least it gets you started on ALIV. And a lot of people are doing that and giving us the chance, and we ask for that chance because once customers are on, the service is unbelievable. It's like nothing you've experienced.
Now I'm going to get to the meat of what the Bahamian people want to know. Our greatest challenge here, and I say this without being without fear of contradiction, drop calls and issues such has been a plague in our society. And one of the number one questions I've heard over the last few days in talking with people in inquiries is, good and well, you're doing well now. What about when tons of customers join your network? Will you then fall into the place of having these challenges as your competitor has had over the years with drop calls and other issues? Or is that planned for? And how can you assure the Bahamian public that that won't be an issue?
Absolutely not. Right. We will not be having drop calls. Right. I checked actually before I came this morning. We obviously monitor that statistic very carefully. There are drop calls on any network for various reasons. If you go off the edge of the network, you will drop a call, for example. So those go in the stats. Our current statistics are we have 3 in 1,000 calls dropping.
Wow.
IRCA mandates some service levels in our license that we're well in excess of all the service levels, including drop calls, including the speed, the data speed that we offer, you know, we're very, very proud of that service we're offering again. Why can I assure you in the future that it won't happen? We engineered the network. We put 2 LTE networks down, not one. So there's actually 2 LTE networks there. One that's providing coverage, wide area coverage, and a network from the very beginning that's providing data capacity. And we did very careful dimensioning of the network, and we dimensioned it for what we believe traffic flows will be in 3 to 5 years' time, and that's dimensioned now. So we don't have to go and mess with the site once it's there. We've planned for success. We've planned that Bahamians are going to use their phones more for calls and for data. And also the other thing is, just another engineering thing, the site grid that we've put down is perfect for the spectrum that we've got. So the main reason calls drop technically is the call is handing off from one cell site to another one, and there's a little gap in the radio pattern, and so the call drops. We obviously have the luxury of planning exactly where to put our towers from the start, and using this technology, it's perfectly planned.
Wonderful. So what about Family Island customers that currently can't get your service? I know you said New Providence, Grand Bahama, I think Abaco, Eleuthera. What about the other islands?
So 2017 is our year of the other islands. We were always mandated to roll out in a certain order. And so it's the turn of the other islands next. We're starting with Andros, Bimini, and Exuma. We will have Andros, Exuma, and Bimini up and running, we hope, by the end of June. So it's coming very soon. And there are a couple of challenges we need to overcome. The first one was what sites are we going to use? There's 2 options. We can build all our own sites, and we have acquired land options over land to go and do that if we need to, for speed. But more preferably, in some cases, we would like to share the towers of BTC, because in some of these points of paradise in the Exuma Keys and things like that, you don't want one 100-foot tower right next to another 100-foot tower, for the sake of the environment and for the sake of the scenery and the look and feel of these places. So we've been working closely with BTC and ERCA to try and strike a deal that allows us to co-locate on their infrastructure, and I'm confident in the next few months now we're going to be
with your competitor.
Absolutely.
Okay,
it's actually a common thing in the industry that infrastructure is shared, especially in, as I say, points of paradise where we are going to.
And obviously you'll pay BTC
absolutely,
for
and BTC will rightfully earn the right return for that. We also will need to use the subsea fibre that BTC own, and that the government of the Bahamas at the time laid round all the Family Islands in, I think it was 2003 or 2004. So again, we're in discussion about getting access to that, and once these deals are done, then we'll be away, and we estimate the middle of the summer we'll be on those 3 islands, and then all the other islands will just follow.
Like dominoes.
Like dominoes. 2017, I am aiming to roll out faster than any rollout obligation we had to all of the Family Islands, and I've made pledges to various people that that's what we're going to do. And so I make a pledge now to you, the people of the Bahamas, that's what we're going to do.
Wonderful. So the people of our country will be alive in 2017.
That's our major aim. We want, tens and tens and tens of thousands more people to be alive on our network across all the islands of the Bahamas.
Is there anything that you haven't previously mentioned here or elsewhere, futuristic plans that's in the not too distant future that you might want to share with our viewers about what you might be dreaming up for our country?
As I go back to what I said at the beginning, I think that we've brought great innovation so far and plans. We really studied the market hard before we arrived. We were the guys who've come along in ALIV with weekly plans and monthly plans, so our Freedom 7-day plans and our Liberty 30-day plans. And we also have Liberty Global plans, so for those who are calling Haiti or the Caribbean or Europe or China, for $20 you can buy a bundle of minutes.
To call overseas.
To call overseas. Now the plans are a very important innovation in their own right, and this is what we've done so far. To use our data service, you need a plan, either a Freedom 7-day plan or a monthly 30-day plan. But all of those plans come with data and minutes and text. And you can use the minutes not just to ring every number in the Bahamas, but to ring the United States and Canada included in that bundle. So going back to our conversation earlier about WhatsApp, we in ALIV are not bothered which way the customer wants to call. If the customer wants to call their friend in the United States using WhatsApp, they use the data. If they want to call their friend in the United States using a phone number, they use the minutes. We really are giving the customer, we're putting the power back to the customer to decide. And one thing that I'm very proud we changed is we got rid of charges for incoming calls. When I arrived in the Bahamas last spring, people were screening their calls to see if it was coming from a fixed line number. That's gone. It's gone from ALIV, and I'm glad to see our competitor saw the good sense to also let it go from them. Yeah, we changed the market fundamentally. You can now receive a phone call on ALIV without any condition. So if you haven't got the money and there's nothing on your account, you can still receive the calls. In terms of innovation, we'll be looking to innovate from here. I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years in Silicon Valley. Personally, I did startup businesses before I arrived here in the Bahamas. And I'm very well connected in Silicon Valley, and I watch what's going on. And there's certainly innovation going on in the use of smartphones in a number of areas. Financial services would be a key one. How businesses operate. And I want to Bahamianize. I want young Bahamians to embrace these technologies, develop them for a Bahamian context, and then bring the innovation to the good people of the Bahamas.
And you've brought me to my final question, which I'm positive is of great interest to all Bahamians, and that is, what are you doing personally and your group of your leaders in ALIV, to your ALIV team, to executives, to ensure that, I know you love living in the Bahamas, and I know it's the best place in the Caribbean to be, but what are you doing to ensure that Bahamian leadership is being trained and brought up to occupy top positions in your company?
So firstly, my senior management team is 50% international, but more importantly, 50% Bahamian. I have been so privileged to find some of the best people I've worked with in any country, not just the Bahamas, in any country I've operated in. And I'm learning from them all the time, as my other international colleagues are, about the Bahamas. But then we've done some other great steps. We have implemented a graduate training scheme. We already have 6 graduates on board, 4 engineering graduates from the University of the Bahamas. We're expanding that this year. There'll be 7 graduates. They will be running the technology division of ALIV within the next 2 years. We're training them best practice. They're getting training from Hawaii and all the equipment. Every single person in ALIV has set performance objectives, and everybody's clear what's required. And that's enabling us to also identify the development needs so that we can put formal training programs in place. We're very proud of our track record, those of us who came with international experience, of the teams we've built in other countries we've operated in. And we're applying some of the same techniques here and some new ones we're learning from our Bahamian colleagues.
And I know you highlighted some of them earlier, like Dwayne and others who
Patrice, Barry.
Doing an excellent job.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful. I'm positive today, with all of the information that you have shared, that our viewing public is now well informed about your brand. And I must admit, I myself, I've spoken with my staff, and they're also very excited. I mean, who doesn't want improvement to their services and at more affordable pricing? I mean, you can't beat that. I thank you for being here with us today. You've been an excellent guest on Nation Building, and I hope to see you again as you update new happenings in ALIV to share with our viewers so that they can be aware of what you're doing and how they can benefit. On behalf of all of us here at Nation Building, I'm Winston Pinnock, your host, and thanks for for tuning in today as we bring you another exciting edition of Nation Building. Stay tuned for the next edition.